This girl who was stuck on this desert island was catching fish. After that, she smashed them and threw out again. Holding a long sharpened branch, she quietly watched. Then a small shark came, which startled the girl. Wait until the shark came again, she killed it. The shark was brought onto the shore. At night, she hung it on the tree, and quietly watched under a large leaf. So tired was she that she fell asleep. The next morning when she woke up, there was only the rope left. How could this girl survive on this island? After her boat sank in a storm, Jen woke up and found herself on a strange island. She then saw a friend of her, Brad, lying on the shore. He had a bleeding wound on his stomach. Jen shouted loudly for help, but there was no one else. She could only drag him onto the shore. Looking at his bleeding wound, Jen didn't know what to do. She shouted again and there was still no reply. So she pulled out the coral stabbing on his stomach. So painful was it that Brad woke up. Jen immediately used some clothes to stop the bleeding. Then she rushed away to find him some water. Jen saw a coconut and tried her best to smash it. But when she returned to Brad, he had already passed away. Jen felt completely hopeless. For the days to come, she had to depend on herself. After a long time wandering, she returned to that place, which meant this island wasn't too big. While exploring the island, Jen discovered some belongings. Looking at them, they must have been here for a long time. There was a rug in the bag, and also some bottles of Coke in the cooler box. When Jen opened the box, she found a box of matches. This was very important. On the ground there were also a bag and other things, which meant there had been some people living on this island. When Jen got back, she used a large coconut leaf to cover Brad. At night, a heavy rain came. She put the rug over her body and slept under a large leaf. The next morning when she woke up, there were many fish washed ashore. She picked them up and put in her bag. After that, she found a dead shark with many wounds. Looking at its wounds, they obviously had been made by a terrible creature. Jen immediately sensed danger. She walked in and ate some fish. From the bag she took out a notebook. It was completely wet and illegible. Looking at the pictures she had taken with her boyfriend, she was really disappointed. Continue on exploring the island, she went to a plot. There were some graves, which might be of the owner of those belongings. Brad's corpse started to smell, so she decided to help him. Jen buried him in the sand and covered it with a leaf. But the next day, when she came there, she was extremely frightened. The corpse had disappeared, and there was only a trail of blood. So there must have been a dangerous creature on this island. Jen then sharpened a branch to protect herself. At night, she slept beside a fire and heard some strange sounds. The monster didn't attack this night. The next morning, Jen found something floating on the water. It turned out to be a box and a luggage. When she dived to check if she missed something, Jen found an ominous hole in the ocean's floor. She immediately emerged out of the water and brought what she had just found on the shore. There were full of clothes in the luggage. At night, she changed her clothes and sat by the fire. Meanwhile, she heard an airplane, so Jen hurriedly took a flare gun to send signal. But when she managed to fire it, the plane had already left. When the light fell on the sea, Jen saw a giant, humanoid sea monster. So scared was she that she rushed into the woods. Hearing footsteps beside her, Jen didn't dare to breathe. Jen covered her nose and mouth so the monster couldn't find her. The next day when she was exploring the box she had found before, she saw some photos of a family. In the last picture, she saw a glowing pair of eyes. It seems they had been killed by the monster. She knew she couldn't stay on this place for long, so Jen put all necessary things in the luggage to make a float to escape. But it was too small for her. After many tries, she had to swim back to the shore. Night fell again. Jen found an empty tree and got in. But the monster could still find her. It continuously broke the tree. Jen was extremely frightened and didn't dare to move. The next morning when Jen got out, she found the outside a mess. Then she found a corpse washed ashore, but was mutilated and bisected. Its wound didn't seem to be made by the monster. At night, she hung the corpse on the tree as bait, and hid in a corner to watch. This time she could see the monster clearly. It directly dragged the corpse away. At this time an airplane flew past again. Jen wanted to send signal, but suddenly the monster walked past. She could only wait breathlessly. On her fifth night, she had nothing to use as bait, and couldn't leave this island either. So Jen slept in a makeshift hammock in the trees. This time you couldn't catch me. When she was sleeping, the monster appeared again. It still discovered her. It started to touch the hammock and pulled her down. Jen was frightened and ran away. The monster ran very slowly on the shore, so it jumped into the water to chase Jen. Finally it caught up with her. Jen grabbed the branch and stabbed it, but then was thrown away. When the monster was about to attack her, there was thunderstorm, so the monster immediately swam away. In that stormy night, she slept on a tree. The next morning, Jen saw something floating on the sea. Jen quickly swam towards it. It turned out to be a life raft. This girl had been stuck on a desert island for many days. Every day, she confronted with a sea monster. Today, a life raft floated to her place. There was Lucas, her boyfriend, and her friend, Mia. Jen gave them coke and grilled some fish for them. She warned them about the creature and convinced them to leave. However, they had been on the sea for too long. They didn't want to leave. Jen told them about the terrible things she had faced, and Brad had also been eaten by the monster. Then she gave them the family's photo, but they still didn't believe her, and insisted on waiting for the rescue. Jen then prepared some food to flee without the two. She took her boyfriend's penknife. When she opened it, she saw some blood stain, and thought of the bisected corpse from some days ago. Mia and Lucas was always talking secretly. Finally, Jen understood everything. That man turned out to have been eaten by them. They might think that Jen was talking about that corpse, so they didn't believe in the existence of the sea monster. Jen only wanted to leave this place. Therefore, she took the chance when they didn't pay attention and secretly prepared to leave. When she pulled the life raft to the water, she was discovered by Mia. The two hurriedly chased her and threw her out of the life raft. While Jen was trying to escape, she was knocked out by Mia with a boat paddle. When she woke up, Jen found herself tied up. Lucas said he had walked around the island and there was no monster. When they were discussing, Mia was attacked by the monster. Lucas quickly fought it to help her. When the monster was about to bring Mia away, it was hit by Lucas, so it ran away, and Mia fell down to the water. When Lucas intended to help her, Mia was suddenly dragged away. The next morning, Lucas stood on the tree and didn't dare to get down, until when Jen said the monster didn't appear during daytime. Did he dare to climb down? Jen no longer had to convince him. Lucas also wanted to leave as soon as possible. First, they prepared a large amount of fish to eat. It seemed to be rainy today. When Lucas was rowing, he was almost dragged down by the monster. The two hurriedly hid in the raft and locked it, but the monster started to attack from the bottom. It tore the life raft. Lucas immediately shot the flare gun at it to fight back, but before they could calm down, the monster grabbed Jen. As Jen was being dragged down to the black hole, she remembered Lucas' penknife and stabbed the monster. It let go of her, and Jen hurriedly swam away, but the monster changed its target and dragged Lucas down to its black hole. Jen quickly came up from the water and took a deep breath. When she got back to the shore, she made up her mind. If she couldn't escape from this monster, she had to confront it. Firstly, she chronicled her experiences with the monster in her journal, in hopes of aiding any castaways who might be washed up on the island. Then she started to make weapons and set up a trap. Night fell. She lured the monster into a circle of wood and grass, and burned it up. Before the monster could escape, she continuously attacked it with her sharpened branches. When the monster grabbed her face, she frantically stabbed it with the penknife, until it couldn't bear any more and released her. Jen ran away as far as she could. The cruel monster chased after her, and in the end collapsed in front of Jen. Jen angrily decapitated the corpse. The movie ends here. See you in other videos.